everybody, it's Heather here from Here She Grows, and today I thought we'd talk about Thanksgiving cactus. It's not Thanksgiving yet, obviously. It's November 4th, and mine is in full bloom, and it is absolutely beautiful. So I posted a picture of this beautiful plant a few days ago on my Instagram feed, and many of you messaged me and said, hey, I thought that was a Christmas cactus. Well, when I bought this at the grocery store about 3 or 4 years ago, the plant was labeled Christmas cactus, when in fact it's a Thanksgiving cactus. And the way to tell the difference is in the leaf, which isn't a true leaf at all, but you look at the green segments on your plant, and if they have sharp points between the margins, that's a Thanksgiving cactus. A Christmas cactus will have more of a scalloped, softened margin. So that's how I know that I have a Thanksgiving cactus. So you might be wondering, well, then why was it in bloom around Thanksgiving time? Well, the growers they can adjust the light exposure on these plants, just like they have to do with poinsettias to get them to bloom at a certain time. So in a perfect world, like a greenhouse environment, you can force these to bloom whenever you want. And that's why they were in bloom at Christmas time when I bought this. But it is, after all, it is a Thanksgiving cactus. So these are light sensitive plants. What triggers their bloom is temperature change and light exposure. So in order to get that to happen, you want to have 12 to 14 hours of darkness. Any type of light, like say from a street light or car lights or lamps, can delay the bud formation. So they need the darkness and they need a cooler temperature. So for a couple years, I think I've had this plant for about 4 years. The first 2 years, I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to have to take this into the basement every night for 6 weeks, because about 5 to 6 weeks is about how much time you have to do this transitioning light period for this plant. And that's a huge task. I didn't have a lot of time for it, and I got really frustrated trying to remember when, to bring this plant upstairs, because I would take it into the basement every night, put it in a very dark corner of the basement. It was cooler down there. It's a constant 65 degrees. Put it down there and then try to remember every morning to bring it upstairs into a bright location, and then do it again every single night for about 6 weeks. That stinks, and I did not have time for it. So last year I decided, forget about it. I left it on the patio. So this plant exploded. When I bought this plant about 4 years ago at the grocery store, it was in a little 3.5-inch pot in full bloom. And when I brought it home, it dropped every bud because they're extremely sensitive to environmental change. So think about the conditions that it's in a grocery store compared to the conditions that you bring it into in the house. So it's very dry environment in the house when you have your central heat going. So that first year that I had my plant, this entire thing, when it was quite small, it completely lost every flower. And I thought, oh man, what'd I do? So the second year, to get it to flower, I started the whole process of bringing it into the basement, and was very dissatisfied with the way the blooms showed up. So, how many flowers showed up. So there weren't as many as I had hoped. Certainly not as many as this. I had absolutely nothing to do with this. This was all Mother Nature. And if you have a Christmas cactus or a Thanksgiving cactus, I would suggest saving yourself the time and trouble of trying to expose it to the right amount of light every night, or the amount of darkness every night, and then you bringing it upstairs or wherever it's been to get it into a sunnier location in the house. So what I did is I brought this plant in the house, early October actually. So we're November 4th right now. So this came into the house in early October. I did not do anything with it. I plunked it on the dining room table, and wished it well. And just made sure that it was watered. I didn't want it overly wet. You don't want to waterlog it. It is an epiphyte after all. It's used to humid conditions, so it's native to Brazil. It likes bright indirect light. So when I store it on the patio for the summer, I make sure that it's not very hot sun hitting this plant, because what will happen is you'll end up with the green will turn kind of a yellowy, creamy white color, and it's just too intense for this plant. So I just put it in a bright indirect light on the patio for the entire summer. I fed it about every month or so with a balanced fertilizer, and then just made sure I was on top of watering, not letting it get too wet, and allowing it to dry out a little bit before I would water it. And you can just do a simple finger test in the soil to see how the soil is. And then before the temperatures drop, I wanted to make sure that I brought the plant in before the temperatures went below 50 degrees at night. So brought this plant in early October, and that was enough to trigger it to form buds. And so I didn't have to do any of the work of the, darkness, the light, the cool temperatures, because it does it naturally on the patio, because we get shorter days. As the summer wears on, the days shorten, the nighttime temperatures cool, especially in August here. July is our hottest month in the evening. So by August, the plant is already starting to sense, okay, things are cooling off at night. September, even cooler. And lo and behold, I get this in before the temperatures drop below 50 degrees, and it explodes. So granted, it didn't bloom. It's probably not going to be blooming like this at Thanksgiving, but I really don't care. I'm just happy that it bloomed at all. So you could certainly do the light dark treatment if you have time for that and want to experiment with delaying the bloom of this plant. I didn't feel like doing that. So like I said, I'm just happy that it bloomed at all. So my suggestion is you're going to be seeing these pop up at the grocery store. And don't be afraid if you get it and you bring it home and every bud falls off. If you are in it for the long haul and you want this to bloom for years to come, I mean, these plants can get massive. So they can be like 3 feet wide in a small pot, and they don't mind being a little root bound. Certainly not a problem. I'll probably repot this next summer. It's been in this container for a few years now. So I'll repot this in a succulent mix that I like to use. But it's really an easy plant if you understand it. And my suggestion would be to let Mother Nature handle the light and the cold. Just be on top of when your nighttime temperatures are going to drop below 50 degrees, because then you want to make sure you bring this in before that happens. So let me turn this around. But look how beautiful it is. It almost doesn't look real. So this will probably be blooming for maybe another 2 weeks. It'll certainly be petered out by the time Thanksgiving comes. So, and that's cool. I could have delayed this bloom if I wanted to, but I didn't feel like going to the work of that. So my suggestion would be to make sure that if you pick up something like this, pick up one of these plants from the grocery store, get it in a tray. So I'll show you the tray here. You can get a really inexpensive little plastic tray and fill it with some pea gravel or whatever kind of rocks you have. Put some water in the bottom of it just to make sure that you're adding a little humidity to the environment that this plant is growing on. So the tray, pea gravel or whatever rocks you have, some water, and then just setting your plant in it. So that'll help humidify the environment around this plant and hopefully prevent the buds from dropping off when you bring it into your home and it's in that drier air that we have to grow accustomed to in a cold climate like we live in. So I hope that helps you grow. The Christmas cactus is the same situation. It's a light day sensitive plant, so it would be treated the same way. And I hope you grow these beauties. They're available in so many different colors: whites, peaches, reds. I just happen to love pink. So I just wanted to share that with you and hopefully give you a better understanding of this plant and how to get it to flower like this. It's pretty impressive. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel, Here She Grows. I would love to share with you what's going on in my home garden. And as you can see, I've got my fiddle leaf fig back here. I've got a monstera philodendron that's growing well. But I love sharing what I'm doing here, and I would love to share more with you. So if you're interested, please subscribe and or leave a comment below if you have other questions. I'm always happy to answer. So have a great day, everybody, and thanks for watching.